It's April of 1699. It's the harvest festival. 10th Guru is there, all the Sikhs have gathered there, and they're all ready to celebrate. But there is a grave threat facing Sikhism, the religion. How are they going to face it? Do they even know that there's an issue around? Let's find out in today's lesson. Right, today's lesson, Khalsa and the 5Ks. We start with a recap from last time. There will be 4 questions, 4 sentences with gaps, and you will need to fill it in. As part of this lesson, you should also have a worksheet in a Word format, so you can edit the Word document as we go to complete the exercises, or you can use pen and paper. For this exercise, if you use pen and paper, just writing the single word answer will do. When the question comes up, give it a go, see if you can remember the answer. Before I show you the correct answer, I will give you some multiple choice options as well. So if you were stuck earlier on, then you can have some options. Now, if you need more time, click pause. The PowerPoint seems to be on a timer. So you've got question 1 there and question 2 already. The word guru means, question 1, the founder of Sikhism is called Guru. Number 3, God said that there is neither nor. And question 4, the first Guru said that the path that I follow is the path of. That one's a bit cheeky actually, because I think I forgot to go through that one in the first lesson. Pause if you need a bit of time. If you don't, then I think the options are about to come up now. As I say, pause if you need a bit more time. But if you're ready, here are the answers. So, answers. Question 1. The word guru means teacher. Number 2. The founder of Sikhism is called Guru Nanak. Number 3. God said that there is neither a Hindu nor a Muslim. I've corrected some of the grammatical mistakes from the last slide, so sorry about if there's some differences there. Number 4. The first Guru said that the path that I follow is the path of God. Okay, hope you can prove that you have remembered some of the things, but if you haven't, then it's revision. A lot of the things that you're learning now in year 8 will be very useful when you get to GCSE as well. In the case of Sikhism, it might be about identity, or it might be about commitment, and the things that you learn in Sikhism can be used to compare to Christianity and all. Right, I'll flag up those links as they come up, but on the screen now you should be able to see the bit that you've done on the worksheet. We've done the recap section. We're going to scroll, well, I'm going to scroll down, you're going to scroll down or turn over or whatever to the 11 gurus. And you can see a guru timeline here. There are, well, the title tells you, there are 11 gurus. From Guru Nanak, who's the founder, to Guru Granth Sahib, who's the current guru. We'll learn more about him in the next lesson or the one after. So just to give you a bit of background, I'm going to read this information out to you. And then we'll move on to meet the 10th guru. Okay? So, and you can see that some of the words with the little numbers, definitions given below. Firstly, let me just read the information to you. Each guru appointed their successor before they died. In this way, Guru Angad was appointed by Guru Nanak before his death. At that point, the Indian subcontinent were ruled by Muslim rulers. The population of the subcontinent was a mix of Hindus and Muslims. Most rulers did not appreciate believers of a different religion and some of the rulers actively persecuted believers of Sikhism, forcing them to either be converted or be punished. Now today's lesson is about the 10th Guru, Guru Gobind Singh. He took over when the previous Guru was in fact executed by the Muslims. He was killed by the Muslim ruler of the time. And it's important to bear that in mind throughout the course of the lesson. The aim of the lesson is to learn about what the Khalsa is, what the 5Ks are, and the significance of the two for the Sikhs, and how it relates to the idea of identity, but also to introduce the idea of commitment to you. Let me say that again. How it relates to the idea of equality, but also introduce the idea of commitment to you. Now, if I scroll down on my screen a bit further, you will see that this page 3, is about Guru Gobind or Guru Gobind Singh at the Vaisakhi. The Vaisakhi is the harvest festival. Okay, so what you need to do now is to watch the video that's attached here. There will be a link just below this screen, and also there's obviously a link there as well. Then I'd like you to fill in the gaps in the two texts so that you're more familiar with the story. There's one text here. Let me try and highlight it. There's one text here, and the words that go into this section are here. They're in alphabetical order, but obviously you got to fit it into the appropriate blank. So choose the right word to fill in the gap. The second text is here, and again the options for the second text are these bullet points here. Just a quick note in case that should be important, because Sikhs write in a certain language, in the Punjabi language. When it's translated into English, sometimes the spellings are different between the two languages. So the word Baisakhi, for example, can be spelled in different ways. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bit of time now. Hopefully, it won't take you any more than 15 to 20 minutes. In fact, actually, I don't think it'll take that long. 15 minutes. Watch the video and then fill in the gap. Or as a challenge, stretch and challenge, fill in the gap as much as you can first, then watch the video to check if you're done. It's a common way just to challenge you first, just to see if you can work out the answer using the context of the text, see if you can work out the answer, and then check the answer again. Now, once you've done the gap fill exercise, you should be able to use a link just below this video to check your answers. Once you have done that, have a look at the next page. There are some questions about the idea of tests of faith. Sometimes religious leaders and sometimes God sets certain challenges and set certain tests to see if certain people can be trusted. So have a look at those questions once you've checked your answers on the gap fill. Now, when you look at the questions, there are different ways of doing it. I don't think you should spend more than 20 minutes on this section, and that includes checking the answers. What I'd say is do as much as you can, and then if you're unsure, then come back to this video and I'll give you some possible answers. If you feel you have no idea at all, then you can start off by watching this explanation and putting some of the answers down, or perhaps even if you disagree, say why you might disagree. Okay, so two things then. Check your answers on the gap fill exercise and then move on to the questions on tests of faith. Okay, hopefully you've had some time to think about the answers, and if you're not sure what the answers is, then listen to what my response is and see if you agree with me. If you do, then put my answer down as yours. I won't charge you. And if you don't agree, then put down why you disagree with me, and from that, maybe you'll be inspired to have your own opinion that you agree with. Question 1. Right, why do religious leaders or God test loyalty of people? Well, it's a test of faith or a test of trust. So the bottom line is that they want to know if the people they're testing can be trusted. Maybe it's easier to answer this question by looking at question number 2 and the different examples there are of a test of faith. Adam and Eve is a test of faith. They want to see if they are loyal to God, and so God asked them deliberately not to eat the fruits from the tree in the middle of the Garden of Eden, and they failed this test. They didn't deserve the trust of God because they were unable to resist the temptation. Okay, God in Christianity. Sorry, I should have said these examples might be from different religions. So it's not. I don't necessarily just mean it from Sikhism. Other examples might include, Abraham was asked to sacrifice his son. He did it, or he kind of did it, because God knew he was about to do it, and then said, "Stop. Only your faith is needed." What he means by that is he's only testing him. There were other sort of tests on Abraham as well. God asked him to do a lot of things that would have been difficult for him, like leaving his homeland. Moses, before he went to the Pharaoh and asked for the Jewish people to be released, was tested in the desert. And of course, the people who Moses led were tested, and they didn't quite meet the test because they worshipped someone else instead of God, while Moses went up Mount Sinai, to collect the 10 Commandments. Are there other examples? Jesus, 40 days in the wilderness. I mean, he's technically God, and he's also Son of God, but he was also tested by God. In fact, he was tested by the devil, to be more exact, and he resisted the 3 temptations in the desert. More generally, there are other examples. We might be inspired by Jesus to give up something for Lent. That could be religious. Muslims give up, they fast during the day for Ramadan. That's a test of their faith as well. All these things, sometimes just knowing whether you would stick to the rules of religion or the words of God is itself a test of faith. But here we're talking of a more significant one, because it's not just a rule, but in this case Guru Gobind is there directly telling people not to do something. The next question is question 3, is meant to be slightly more challenging. So why does Guru Gobind Singh need to know whether his people can be trusted? That really relates to question number 1, I suppose. There's a general point that these are his subjects. Maybe he's doing it actually to make sure his people will follow him. Like, maybe the point of doing it is not just about faith, but getting people to commit themselves to follow the Guru. We'll talk a bit more about that next lesson. But also remember that Guru Gobind Singh and his followers were under threat, and they were fighting for the ability to believe in this religion. In some ways, when you're in the battlefield with other people, you have to know
that they can be trusted to fight with you as well. And some people would say that the strength of a chain is in the weakest link. What that means is it's all right if most people are strong, but if someone cannot be trusted, just one person, that could everything could fall apart. And I suppose that comes back to question one. Why do religious leaders want to test the loyalty of people? Is to make sure that the strength of, as a whole, of everyone believing in this religion is there. Yeah. Question 4. Right. I said earlier on in question 3 that joining the Khalsa is kind of like a commitment. So when you are asked, or when a Sikh is thinking about joining the Khalsa, they will need to think whether they're ready to commit themselves. They're committing themselves to a set of rules. Maybe they're giving up some sort of freedom. Maybe some people don't like leaving their hair long, but if they commit to the Khalsa, then they have to do that. Maybe some people don't like being part of a label, but if they join this group, they will have the label sort of given to them. So that's why. And the name changes as well, if you remember. So it's a commitment, and it means maybe you have to give up something that you're doing already, or give up some sort of freedom that you have. But it also means that you have to commit to doing something yourself, or maybe thinking about other people around you where you don't previously want to. Question 5. It's an interesting question, isn't it? Can you trust someone without a sort of test, or do you need a test in order to trust someone? Well, you know, and I think you're a bit young for that yet, but when you go through a relationship, you sort of go up a step, and you maybe spend a little bit more time with people, and you do a little bit more things that requires collaboration with them. For example, if you just meet up with someone and have a chat, technically that's not much of a big commitment. But if you decide to go on holiday with someone, or when you decide to, in a relationship, move in with someone, then then that's a bigger commitment, and you need to know whether you can trust someone or not. But also, when you do little things, you know what sort of person they are and whether they can be trusted. Little things like putting out the bin, or turning off the lights, to things like whether they are faithful to you or whether they lie to you. Anyway, how important is it to pass some sort of test? I think it's important to see whether they are honest, people are honest with you, and whether they can be relied upon to do certain things for you. And you know that because naturally, when you spend more time with them, you might ask them for a favor, maybe, or you might be in a situation of need where they might have to help you. I, for one, would never deliberately set some sort of test to test people, because I think naturally when you have a long enough relationship, a friendship, genuine relationship, or with family members, when you spend long enough time with them, you're going to be in those situations where someone is needed, and you can see whether they can be relied upon when their help is needed, or their honesty of their truth. And I'm sure in your experiences you would have met or know of people who have been good to you when you needed, and you definitely remember these ones who have not been as good as they can be when you needed them. So yeah, trust can only happen over time, and if you've been in a joint commitment together. Just meeting up for a chat isn't necessarily Even if you do that over weeks and weeks, isn't necessarily as useful a test of trust as, say, I don't know, playing in the same team or working together or going somewhere together where you have to plan things through. Okay, look, if you have any questions or if you're interested in any of these things, do send an email in and we'll try our best to answer you. Or if you just want us to have a look at your interesting answers, you can disagree with me. There's not a wrong answer for you to disagree with me, just as long as you explain it. We talked earlier on about commitment, and in the next parts of the lesson, we're going to look at one ways that Sikhs can commit themselves in a very evident visual way. So as we found out earlier in the lesson, Guru Gobind Singh has, on the day of the Vaisakhi, begun the community called the Khalsa, which Sikhs can join. The first 5 members of the Khalsa is the Panch Pyare, the 5 beloved ones. And they, like many others who will follow them, joined the membership of Khalsa by drinking the Amrit and by wearing the 5 Ks. Now, what is the 5 Ks, I hear you ask? If you saw in the video earlier on, you would see that they've got a sort of identical dress code. And the dress code is based around 5 items. So in the remainder of the lesson, we're going to think about, we're going to learn what the 5 Ks are, we're going to understand what a dress code is and how it shows the membership of Khalsa, how it shows you're a member, and how it shows your commitment to Guru Gobind, to all the gurus, and to the religion as well. The 5 Ks consist of 5 descriptions or items. Now, I would go on to explain it a little bit more and to explain the significance, but I need a bit of help. Oh, Mr. Mayers, can you help me please?
What's this? Daddy! A package just flew the window.
What is it, Danny?
I think it's something sent by Mr. Lee.
Ah,
A package.
what's that? Do you know who that's a picture of?
A Hindu pitch. Going for
Nearly. It's an even newer religion called Sikhism.
Oh!
And
What's
this
that?
guy is called Guru Nanak.
Oh!
But look, there's some other things in here as well.
Little thingy thing.
What's that?
I think it's supposed to go around your head like a t-shirt thingy.
What, that?
Oh, wait. No, I don't think that.
Oh no, wait. Take them off for a minute, because I think I do know what these are. And I'm going to explain them to you.
Oh, wait, what's this?
It's a comb.
Oh.
This one's a knife. Be careful with that one. No, wait. Not a toy. It's definitely not a toy. And that's a little bracelet. Should we find out more about what they are? Right, let's get you dressed up. Okay, the first thing that Mr. Lee's put in the bag for us to talk about isn't actually in the bag at all. It's on every human being that is around. So, for example, we've all got hair, and at the moment we've got quite long hair because no one's going to the hairdressers. But Sikhs never cut their hair. So Sikhs who join the Khalsa always just let their hair grow long because it's a sign of God's creation. Having long hair is also a symbol of spiritual purity and also strength. Can we think of an example of when someone had really long hair and it represented strength?
Samson.
Oh yeah, Samson in the Bible. Because when he got his hair cut off, then he became weak, but then it grew back and he was strong. Anyway, this isn't about Judaism, it's about Sikhism. So Sikhs will often wear a turban, but because we haven't got a turban and your hair's not that long anyway, we're just going to put a Sikh bandana on you, okay?
Yes.
This Sikh bandana has the symbol of Sikhism on it, which is called the khanda. And it's 2 crossed swords and the 1 sword in the middle, which represents God's power. So you just tie it around like that. Hopefully it won't do it too tight. Is that alright?
Yes. That is literally fine for me.
Oops. and the turbans are just meant to keep the hair nicely out of the way. So it keeps it all tidy. You look like a pirate. But that's cool. Okay. That's the first K. Which is Kesh. Right, the second one, they're not in any particular order really, but the second one is a steel bracelet called Kara.
Yep.
So put it, don't drop them. So you put it on your wrist.
Yep, you put it on your right wrist.
Good, and Sikhs wear the Kara for 2 reasons really, well, loads of reasons. Firstly, it's pretty nifty and nice bracelet. Just shut that, it's because of the light. But secondly, it's a circle, so it has no beginning or end, just like God to Sikhs. So they're always thinking of God's eternity when they're wearing the Kara. And then thirdly, because that bangle reminds them of God, imagine now you're about to do something really evil, like punch somebody or beat somebody up or shoot someone with a gun. You're about to do it, you raise up your hand, no, don't kill me. But all of a sudden, what do you see?
Bracelet.
And what does that remind you of? Because it has no beginning or end.
God.
And will that make you carry on killing the person if you're thinking of God? Or will you think, oh, God wouldn't want me to do this?
God would not want me to do this.
Excellent. So having the Kara on your wrist helps Sikhs to be a good person and act in a moral way, and it acts as a reminder so that whenever they're going to do something bad, because usually when you do something bad you do it with your hands, it reminds you then that you've got to be a good person and stay true to your creator, God. Okay?
Yes, but even if you don't have it, there is a circle that can remind you. Look, your arm.
Oh yeah, I suppose, yeah. But that's why Sikhs wear that, because it shows them that God's always with them, no matter what they do.
Yes.
Okay, so
Always.
the third one then is this is to do with the Kesh again.
Yes.
But it's Kanga is a small wooden comb that Sikhs keep with them. Show it to the camera.
Yeah, I think you can.
Cool. And Sikhs use this to keep because they don't cut their hair, your hair can get tangled and a bit messy. And before we had Tresemme and L'Oreal shampoo and conditioner and all that sort of stuff, Sikhs probably found it difficult to keep their hair in a nice state. So they would bathe in the river perhaps, and then they would need to keep their hair untangled, and it's quite symbolic as well because Sikhs untangle their hair and it helps to remind them that they've got to stay on the straight and narrow, a bit like the metaphor of seeing the thing on your wrist, then you don't commit a crime. So in a similar way, you have tidy hair. It's about physical cleanliness and purity leading to spiritual cleanliness and purity. Okay, so for example, today I haven't really sorted my hair out, so see how easy it is to use the Kanga. We're going to do it on yours, but you've already put your hair up in the bandana so that you've got it out of the way. Lovely. Excellent, thank you. And Sikhs keep this with them at all times, again symbolically, to show that they're always willing to look after themselves. Okay, next one. Now this one may seem a little bit strange,
Yeah.
but it is a pair of shorts.
Yeah.
So why don't you put them on?
Okay.
Cool, right, let's see. Tied up nicely. Right, excellent. So
I know I look a little bit weird now, don't I?
you don't look weird. Sikhs all wear these, so it's all fine. So anyway, the reason that Sikhs wear these white shorts is, well, again, there are lots of different reasons. They're kind of like long underpants shorts. They're particularly useful because when Sikhs were first having to defend themselves against oppression, they found it difficult to be warriors with long garments on. So they found that they could be more mobile if they wore these shorts. But also, these white shorts, because white is a symbol of purity, Sikhs wear the white shorts to be a sign of their chastity. Chastity just means either not having sexual relations with people if you're not in a committed relationship, or saving yourself for the one person that you are going to be with. So the reason that Sikhs wear the white shorts is because it's a symbol that they're going to be sexually pure, which means that, you know, if you're going to be sexually immoral, one of the things you normally have to do that is take your shorts and pants off and stuff. And if you have to do that, you have to be reminded of your purity and your commitment to stay pure. Then you're less likely to do anything untoward. So, you know, it's again another reminder that you've got to stay pure. Right, stand up now. And finally, where's the last one? Finally, the kirpan is a ceremonial sword or dagger that Sikhs will keep on them. Give that a bit of a show to the camera as well. Yeah. And, well, actually, it looks pretty brutal and dangerous, but they're not actually sharp. You can't really ever hurt anybody with these.
No.
Thank you. In the olden days, Sikhs used to wear these, and it was again a commitment to defend what is right and good and stand up against oppression and evil. And so Sikhs always were told to carry these kirpans, these daggers, so that they would always be prepared to fight for what is righteous and what is good. But nowadays, Sikhs don't really feel the need to go round holding knives and things, so now it's just a symbolic thing. Sikhs will still carry these today, and they're legally allowed to, because they're not really very harmful at all. But I think they look pretty cool, and
Yeah.
you like having it, don't you?
Yeah, they're like pretty sharp daggers or knives.
Yeah. Okay, let's be careful though. We're trying to set a really good example.
Yes, we are.
So again, you've got all your 5Ks.
Mm-hmm.
So, shall we do an activity? What you've got to do now is go and get a scrap bit of paper anywhere in your household and a pen, and see if you can pause this video. Actually, you go and hide out of the screen. Right, pause the video and see if you can get your bit of paper and a pen and go and jot down all 5 of the 5Ks. See how many of them you can remember. Good luck. And then when you come back and you've finished it, unpause the video.
Oh, hello. So, how many did you find? Did you find Kesh, which is this, also known as uncut hair? Kara, your bracelet, remarking God's non-beginning and non-end. Did you find the curtain, the dagger, lucky thing? I hope you did. Kara, the comb, you just want to have a little look at it again. Kanga, the comb, you just want to have a little look at it. There you go. And finally, Kara. Kashra. The shorts.
Show everybody.
Now we will show you one by one.
Excellent. Let's have a look. So, just to recap, Sikhs wear all of these 5 things, even in the modern day, and they are a symbol that they belong to the Sikh community, or the Brotherhood of Sikhs, also known as the Khalsa, which Mr. Lee told you about earlier, I gather. So, well done if you got all those right, and we'll see you again soon. Bye! You can say bye as well.
Bye-bye, you guys.
Danny, should we give the 5Ks back to Mr. Lee now?
Of course. There you go, Mr. Lee. That's enough.
Oh, what's that? Oh, great. Ooh, Guru Nanak's in there as well. Thank you, Mr. Mares. Thank you, Danny. Okay, and the next parts of the worksheets, you should be able to find some questions about certain aspects of the 5Ks and which item would be most important for the Sikhs when considering those aspects. Now, before I ask you to do this exercise, I want to stress there are no right or wrong answers. There are only valid and invalid answers. There's no right or wrong answers in the sense that these are all your opinion, but your opinion needs to be evidenced. So whatever opinion you make sure you refer back to some of the things that you've learned about the 5Ks. So what I'd like you to do now is on your paper or on your computer, whatever you've got to do that work, to think to yourselves, and in the next, it should take 5 or 6 minutes, maybe up to 10 minutes. In those time, answer those questions and make sure you've referred to the information that Mr. Mayers and Danny have very kindly provided you with about the 5Ks, as well as all the other things that you've learned about Sikhism up to this point. Let's go! So we're going to go through some of the answers, questions on the significance of the 5Ks. As I've said before the video, to a great extent, these questions are just requiring your opinion. It's a good answer as long as what your opinion is backed up by some of the things that we've learned about the 5Ks this lesson. So add to your answers if you want. If you didn't feel you were comfortable in answering the questions earlier, you can now put some of the answers in. And if you don't agree with my answers, then feel free to say why you don't agree on the sheets. So question number 1, how does wearing the 5Ks show that everyone is equal, or remind the Sikhs that everyone is equal? They're all wearing the same thing, so in that sense they're all equal. Sorted. Question 2. The duty in defending themselves. There are a few options really. The kirpan is the obvious one, the dagger, and it was originally designed so that if there are any threats to their religion, then they can defend themselves, and it should only be used for self-defense. But the kachera, the shorts also remind Sikhs of their duty as well, so that has a part to play in it. Question 3. So whichever, up to you which one you think is most important for question 2. Probably out of those 2 though. Question 3, most important Sikhs in terms of living within a routine or within their responsibility. Well, the comb reminds them to look after their hair and look after anything that God has given them. The shorts, the kachera, reminds Sikhs to be mindful of the rules that God has given them and to live within doing what is right. And the kirpan reminds the Sikhs to look after people in their religion and to defend their rights to worship their God. So of those 3 things, again, I think it's just down to your opinion really. Question 4, which of the 5 Ks is most important in showing devotion to God? It could be about keeping your hair tidy, not like what I'm doing now, but keeping your hair tidy would, because God has given you that hair, would be one thing. Actually there's 2 things there. There's keeping your hair uncut. That's one thing to show that God has created it. And then keeping your hair tidy with the comb, that's the other thing. Thirdly, it may be reminding yourself that God's power have no beginning and no end. There are no beginning or end. And the kara, the bracelet, symbolizes that. The kachera comes into it as well, to remind yourself of the rules of God, and the kirpan comes into it to remind yourself that you need to defend your rights to worship this God. Again, up to your opinion. You can make that decision, and if you do find making decisions difficult, just say why you find it difficult after explaining all the possible answers. Question 5 is a stretch and challenge question. Which of the 5 Ks is most important in defending your faith? Well, earlier for question, and by the way, it is stretch and challenge. It's optional, and it challenges me too. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily know what my answer to this question is, but I suppose you want to think about what's most important for Sikhs. Is it, maybe look back at question 2 to 4, is it about the responsibilities? Is it about how much they think about God? Or is it about defending the rights to have that religion? Or actually, is it something else? Is it about equality? Or is it about treating everyone nicely? Depending on what you think is the most important bit of Sikhism, your answer may well be different. Haven't really given you an answer, have you? The joy of this subject, of course, is that sometimes there are just it just depends on your opinion what the correct answer is. And it's quite nice in that it's one of the few subjects where really you can bring your opinion to the fore. In this case, as long as you've referred to what the 5 Ks are about. Question 6. Problem Sikhs encounter when they're in the modern day. Well, it's mostly about the law, really. I say make 2 points, it's a bit harsh, isn't it? Kirpan, sharp object, it's against the law to carry offensive weapons, so that might be one thing. Keeping your hair tidy often involves a turban, and with certain activities like riding a motorcycle or riding a bike, you're often required to wear helmets. So there's a conflict between the Sikhs' customs and the law. The law there. In France, when they introduced the law about wearing helmets when you're on a motorcycle, it specifically says that Sikhs must do the same. There's no exemptions. So that would be a problem there as well. They also stand out, and I guess in modern society you might not necessarily wish to stand out by wearing your own set of uniforms. So there we are. It's about the offensive weapon bit. It's about laws about safety, maybe with cycling or motorcycling, and it's about not standing out. And that brings us to question number 7, another stretch and challenge question. Some Sikhs would argue that it is still relevant and you might be standing out, but one of the things about wearing the 5Ks is that you'll be tempted not to wear it, and by wearing it you're showing your commitment. Okay? The other reasons why you might wear it is because if you respect Guru Gobind, and if you respect the people who established the religion or die for the religion to be established, then you would wear the 5Ks. You know, Guru tells you to do something, he's a very authoritative person. Another reason why you might do it is just it's always been done, so by tradition you would carry on doing it. So reasons that might suggest it is still relevant are reasons of showing part of your commitment, are reasons of following the rules that Guru Gobind has laid down, and what was the third one? Remind me. And the fact that it's been going on for so long, the traditional side of it. To argue it's no longer relevant, on the other side, you might say that the Sikhs no longer really need to defend themselves in order to worship, especially in Britain. We're a very tolerant country, so that's important. Why else might it be no longer relevant? For the fact that question 6 was asked, the fact that they would encounter problems in the modern day, so times have changed and they ought to change with it. That's why quite often you actually just see symbols of the comb and the kirpan being worn, perhaps hung around a necklace. You don't actually see those objects being worn anymore. You might also feel it's no longer relevant because there are other ways of showing commitment. For example, if you feel that following Guru Nanak's rules about being kind to everyone is more important than what you wear, then you would say actually, it's not about showing you're a Sikh, but about doing the things that makes you a Sikh according to Guru Nanak, being kind to everyone, not discriminating between different people. So the 3 points that I've made for no longer relevant are it's what you do that's most important. The Sikhs no longer have to defend themselves for the religion, and that it's inconvenient in the modern day, and that wasn't the intention of Guru Gobind when or the Panch Pyare when they initiated this uniform. Well, I hope it kind of gives you some ideas and gives you a greater understanding of what the 5Ks are. Okay, we're coming towards the end of the video aspect, but there hopefully should still be enough time in the lesson for you to get creative and think about, firstly improving your ability to answer assessment questions, and also to improve your ability to explain what the 5Ks are and what the Khalsa is and their significance and how they relate to each other. So firstly, there are 2 more exam style questions on the final page of the worksheet for you to answer. First one's kind of tricky, even though it looks harmless, so do look out for that. Okay, afterwards, there's a chance for you to refresh your memory. You might have been inspired by the excellent explanation of the 5Ks, not by me, of course, but by Mr. Mayers. See if you can create your own. It doesn't have to require filming, it doesn't have to require your voice, but it can if you want. It could be in any form: poetry, video if you wish, comic or cartoon, a lovely poster. Miss Barnes loves a lovely poster if you have her as your RS teacher. Cake form, make sure you take a photo of that. I'm sure Mr. Ainsley would be very jealous if you do make a cake to represent all that. Yeah, oh, the ideas are endless. Now on the worksheet I've given you a set of, three sets of criteria. There are probably 2 bullet points per criteria there: bronze, silver and gold. Pick a level you want to achieve, but just remember that if you want to achieve silver, you need to achieve the bronze criterion as well. And if you want to achieve gold, then you need to achieve the silver and the bronze criteria as well, because they are consecutive. I really want you to focus on the fact that it's not just about saying what they are, but also explaining why they are important. And that really high level skill at year 8 as well, that gold level skill of being able to link the 5Ks to the Khalsa and being able to link both to the idea of equality. If you can draw links in your learning, it just goes in much better. And if it contains sugar, it also goes in much better. Oh, I really fancy a cake now. Right, look, and send us in any work that you've got. Send it to your RS teacher. You can copy me in if you want, and if I'm your RS teacher, then send it to me and copy it to me as well. Makes sense, right? If that's piqued your interest and you want to know more about anything, or you want to ask any questions or any links are broken, just let us know and hopefully we can answer the question for you. Though bearing in mind that we're human, please don't expect an instant answer, unless perhaps it's work hours, or unless, just don't expect an instant answer, but it might be an instant answer if we can. Look, good to talk to you about the 5Ks and the Khalsa. Next lesson we're going to talk a bit more about commitment and how to commit to things. For now, stay alert, stay safe, take care, and look after yourself and look out for each other. It's been RS in Year 8 Sikhism Lesson 3 with Mr. Lee.
And Mr. Mayers and Mr. Mayers.